so well timed, almost like I made it that way.
That's a miracle.
What's going on, you guys? My name's Kirby Downey.
I'm Jonny Harrison.
Everybody,
And
Too Tall Toby.
And today we've got Too Tall Toby with us.
I wasn't sure if I was supposed to intro myself.
We don't really have a plan. Love it. Whatever goes. Well, how are you doing, Toby?
Pretty darn good. Honored to be here with you guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah,
thank you for joining us.
It's been like 14 episodes since we started, and we kickstarted this off on your little live show, which was quite fun.
Yeah, it was an honor to be there at the beginning too with you guys. I remember when Sean got us all together, and he was like, "You gotta meet these guys. You gotta talk to these guys. You gotta get on these guys' show." And I know that back then we started out with you guys being on our show, and it was just awesome having you on and talking about all the work you do. Now it's kind of coming full circle, right?
Yeah, we were up till 3 o'clock. We were up till 3 o'clock in the morning to be on that. It was great. Oh, yeah. Loved every minute.
Right.
Their work was a lot of fun.
East Coast United States, and you guys are in England?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it all one time zone there?
Yeah,
we're not that big.
The whole country.
You could fit the UK and Texas about 5 times.
Yeah, I'm not quite as big as Texas here, but I used to live in a state, Arizona, and they didn't change the time zone for daylight savings. Like half of the year we'd be an hour off from California, and then the other half would be like 2 hours off from California.
Yeah, we still really weird daylight saving.
It was really weird.
Well, we're going to start today with tradition, as always. We're going to find out. Being king. What are they drinking? So yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, Toby, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking Waterloo, it's called. It's just sparkling water.
Yeah,
all
healthy in that.
Not very exciting. Yeah, it says across the top here: 0 calories, 0 sugar, 0 fun, 0 just 0 everything.
Are you in the right place?
I think I'm in the wrong place. Yeah.
No,
Jonny,
we'll allow it.
What are you wetting? What are you wetting your lips with, Jonny?
Today, some Brewdog Punk IPA. Extremely sad not to have won £15,000 on their competition, but I've now got 50 cans of beer.
You can always buy more.
Don't tempt me.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna risk it and do a whole bottle of Jack Daniels this episode. I think I can do it.
You're just gonna go for the whole bottle, huh?
Yeah.
Just smash the whole thing.
Just do it.
What are we talking there? 25 ml servings, or?
I have no clue. 50 ml doubles.
Ooh, doubling up.
Yeah.
Tell you what, it'll be nothing like the Nashville measures.
So this week was Thanksgiving. How was your Thanksgiving, Toby?
It was good. I mean, I got a lot of roommates, so we were all together trying to adhere to the the restrictions that are being put in place. So you didn't really have like the super extended family over or anything, but still a nice big hearty family, nice big meal. What about you guys? Do you guys do Thanksgiving there? Any equivocal? No, just a regular.
We're not thankful for anything. We just plundered the world and left.
Yeah, I mean, when something like that happens, this might sound like a totally naive question, but are there any holidays that the United States has that you will that get on your radar that you know about so that you'll adjust accordingly? Or is it, like last week, I mean, for Thanksgiving for us, it's a big holiday because it's 2 full days off. Does that affect your work week? Do you know that's coming? Does it affect your suppliers or anything like that?
Not really. Not particularly.
Just plow through.
Yeah. Maybe slightly more for me. I have a few American people I have to deal with, so they've all obviously been on holiday, but
right.
If anything, it's lightened my workload this week.
Most of our suppliers are in Germany, and whenever Germany has their holiday, that's when we kind of we only really panic if the machine breaks and it's a holiday. But
that one gets on your radar, though.
Yeah, that works out fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a weird one to have family gathering kind of thing. Like, for us, Christmas is coming up, so that's where we've got to kind of like plan everything out. You guys got kind of like a practice round.
Yeah,
practice run.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you do what you can. You try and stay in touch with those people that normally you would see. I'm doing Zoom calls all day, saying hi to the family members that aren't here. So still get a chance to at least, be in touch. I think that's the whole trick to getting through this thing, is just trying to like make sure that you keep in touch with people. It's really easy just to kind of get your head down, get into the work, and then you forget about how important it is, to let people know that you miss them, that you love them. So that's just kind of been my strategy through this whole thing, is just stay in touch,
Yeah. Well, with technology nowadays, like 20 years ago, this would be hell.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier that you can literally just mobile phone, FaceTime or whatever call in 30 seconds, no hassle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of people are probably wondering, who is Too Tall Toby? So I think,
who is this guy?
Tall guy.
Who is, what do you do? I know you work for Solidworks, but you also have your own YouTube channel. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, I mean, usually I like to say that, like, during the day, my day job is I work for the amazing company Dassault Systems. That's the company that owns Solidworks, as well as CATIA, and a number of other engineering CAD-based solutions. The new product that they are really trying to get out there is called 3D Experience. It's an online web portal that you and your whole team can log into to do collaboration. I mean, long and the short of it, that's what it is. There's all kinds of cool tools in there that are specifically for the engineering world, which definitely differentiates it from other web portals that let you and your team do collaboration. But at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's a real nice solution. And because it's their new product, that's what I spend a lot of my time doing during the day. But I love SolidWorks. I grew up on SolidWorks. I started using SolidWorks in 1997. So I've been using it for quite a few years. And I love it. I spent a lot of my career teaching SolidWorks and doing tech support for SolidWorks, doing tips and tricks. So now at night, when I'm not, working my day job, when I have a little bit of extra time, I've been trying to put together some tips and tricks, kind of help with that, just like we talked about a moment ago, kind of helping with the whole community aspect of things, keeping people together, keeping people in touch. Yeah. And ultimately, I think kind of the way this whole thing started was that when the pandemic broke out and a lot of the restrictions went out and people, were told that they weren't going to be going to the office anymore, a lot of people found themselves picking up SolidWorks again for the first time in a long time. And so I wanted to help those people, especially with like tips and tricks. Like, hey, haven't been in the software for a while. Here's some things you might have forgotten about, or maybe here's some things you didn't even know about. So all through the month of March, nope, that's wrong. All through the month of April, every day in April, I posted a new tip. So Monday through Friday, every day, Monday through Friday, I posted a new video tech tip. They called them Power Moves with Too Tall Toby. And it was all in that spirit of like, let's share some tips and tricks. Let's help some people who haven't used the software in a long time, help them save some time, have a little bit less of a frustrating day, learn a cool move that can save them time, maybe make them the hero at the office. And that's kind of how the ball got rolling with Too Tall Toby. And then from there, it kind of evolved. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about some of the other stuff too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of like goes like you got the 3D Experience platform that's built for collaboration, across different countries. But this pandemic sweeps in, all of a sudden people need something like that to play around with. But also, a lot of people ended up with a lot of free time on their plate and just started jumping back into hobbies that they probably gave up many, many years ago, and now jumping back into it because they got the time to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. A lot of the people, who are in there are, like you said, they're hobbyists trying to get into it. They're maybe they had more of a significant role using the software, but when you're at the physical office, a lot of times you're putting out fires all day. You don't actually get to use the software at all. And now they find themselves back at home again, and now they do have that time to actually dive in and build some projects around the house, use the software, get good with SolidWorks again. Mm-hmm. So hopefully some of these tips and tricks I've been posting are helping those people,
I learn almost every time I watch him. I learn something. I mean,
wow, what a compliment! Thanks.
I mean, like, because everything on SolidWorks is self-taught for me. Probably the best story that I always use is that I always used to manually create threads with sweeps and surfaces. And when I found out that there was a button for it, changed my life. But I did learn a lot trying to work my way around.
Yeah, you muddle your way through and find buttons.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean,
I showed Kirby the S key.
Nice. I love the S key.
That was my claim to fame. Kirby, been using SolidWorks for ages. Didn't know about the S key until 4 weeks ago.
Yeah. I still don't use it.
I love it, man. I love it. I use it all the time. Every video, every project I work on, always using it. Definitely. If you don't know about the S key, make sure you get out there and learn about the S key. It's really a good one. And I have a tech tip video on it, so you can check out Too Tall Toby and learn about.
There you go. Toby will hook you up with the pro tips, not just mine that it exists.
Yeah.
But I mean, what led you to then create a channel? Because I know there's a lot of forums out there where you can find a lot, ask questions on that stuff. Was this just creating another place for that?
Yeah, I mean, when I was coming up using SolidWorks, I was working with in the industry for a few years, and then went to work for the resellers. So doing tech support and training for the resellers. And while I worked there, I started a YouTube series. Probably started it around 2010, and it was called Toby's Tech Talk. Actually, I'm sorry, it wasn't a YouTube series. It was a recurring series that we did for the customers through GoToWebinar. So it was called Toby's Tech Talk. It was every month. And it was like, here's what's going on in the world of SolidWorks. You're a SolidWorks customer. We want to give you some value add. You talk to Toby on the phone when you call in for tech support. So now here he is. And even back then, I was using... if you go back, if you look at the Prism Engineering YouTube page, which is still up, you'll see that I was using the Logitech capture software to put my face into the video, because the go-to solution didn't really have a good webcam solution at first. And then even after they did, it didn't record. Like when I would Camtasia it, I couldn't record it properly. And I like being able to control when my face was up there. So it was like an ad hoc OBS solution back in the day, And so I did this series, this Toby's Tech Talk monthly series for a long time. I think I did like 80 episodes of it, which is a long time when it's only once a month,
Yeah.
And then as that went on, it kind of evolved, and I started doing this anagram contest where I would put up a word scramble, and it would make a weird word that it would be like ice cream Uranus or something like that. And then you would descramble it and it would be like surfacing loft or something, obviously that one, ice cream Uranus, doesn't get you to surfacing loft, but I think you guys get the point of what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go later and see what I can make out of that.
Yeah. So I would do those word scrambles every month and get people to submit their answers, and whoever got it right would just kind of get on like a leaderboard, and it was just for fun. But then eventually that morphed into, let's do a modeling challenge every month. And so we started every month putting up a 2D print for the customers, and then they would submit their answer via email. They would look at the print, and then they would email me, and I'd be like, the next month I'd be like, congratulations to all these people. These people all got it right. So then as the company I worked for was sold, purchased by another company, and kind of I started moving on with my career, ended up ultimately getting with Dassault Systems. That series kind of died, and a number of people reached out to me, and they were like, hey, we missed the modeling contest. What happened to the modeling contest? Are you still doing the modeling contest? And so lo and behold, here we come into 2020, and I started hosting these tips and tricks, and live streaming is so accessible now, and it's such a great format, and so I was like, you know what? Let's just let this thing rip. Let's start doing a regularly scheduled show, and we'll challenge everyone out there, anybody. It's open to anybody who's got YouTube, to create a model and to try to bring back this this tradition of having a modeling contest. So that's kind of where we are now with the Too Tall Toby channel.
And if you ever watch one of Toby's lives, it's very, very interactive. Everybody's involved because you're at home watching your show and making models at the same time and submitting them, but you're learning at the same time. And I think that's a lot of fun. I mean, I see a little ukulele there in the background, so I do know that you enjoy a bit of music now and then, and you have written some SolidWorks songs.
Yeah, for sure. That's another. I actually grew up playing in bands, so all through high school and really like all through my life, I've been playing in bands up to as recently as last year, really this year actually, like right before the pandemic hit. Played a gig with a cover band. So played music kind of all my life, and yeah, a couple of years ago, I guess it was probably SolidWorks World 2012, 2013, somewhere around there. Yeah. I did a live presentation on large assembly modeling, and you guys probably know when you have a very large assembly, you go to open it, it'll sometimes take a long time to open. And so what I did was I decided to write a song about SolidWorks to fill in that gap. It was kind of there was a couple of things going on simultaneously. Like I wrote the song and then I had this presentation coming up and I wanted to open an assembly live, but I didn't want people just to be sitting around. And so I decided I'm going to try and play the song live at SolidWorks World. And so, I wrote a song on ukulele about how it's important to always fully define your sketches. It's got an educational message, as part of the song.
Yeah. I remember, what was it? So it was SolidWorks 2017. Luke went to go and watch your presentation, and you played your song where you spoke about how it's important to fully define everything. He went from that presentation to go and do his own presentation where he had an entire slide dedicated how it's not important to define things.
Nice. Very nice, yeah. So when in that context, are you saying like in sketch mode, or are you saying in assembly mode, or what are you saying?
In sketches and that stuff. Like because like I'm not making massive machinery stuff. I'm literally making like a lightsaber.
Right.
I don't need to define every single element to make sure all those lines are black or anything. The only time I actually do that is if I'm doing something that's truly parametric and I need to adapt the size and the shape of it by editing one feature. But most of the stuff I do, everything's blue. It's a nightmare for everybody. And then I'll make one change and then everything goes red.
Toby started fiddling in his chair quite a lot then when you were talking, Kirby. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm getting so uncomfortable. Yeah. No. I mean, it's good. It's always. I'm just asking because I just got into a conversation just the other day with a SolidWorks user who was asking like, "Oh, does that pertain to assemblies too?" So that's kind of where the question was derived from, and it doesn't. Right. I mean, the short answer is it doesn't. Like, it's exactly what you said. If something is parametrically dependent, a lot of times I'll describe it as like a multi-level waterfall, or I'll call it like a waterfall effect. And it's like, if something up top is not defined properly, and the next thing is not, and the next thing is not, and the next thing is not, it's just going to be, a house of cards. It's just all going to fall down as soon as you make one little change. But if everything is, dependent and parametrically defined and predictable, like that's a lot of times how I describe it. If you make your sketches fully defined, if you make your features fully defined, your model is going to be predictable. And so you really want to get to the point where you like go to make a change and you already know what's going to happen downstream, and that's kind of the point. But if it's not that type of a scenario, like assemblies, like, do I have to fully define a bolt into, the circle so it doesn't rotate? No, because it's not that scenario. It's not like that bolt rotating is going to cause the whole assembly to fall apart. So, I mean,
it could. It's SolidWorks.
I guess, ironically, in the real world, it actually would, but in the software, not nearly as important. No, it's also like a beginner's lesson too. It's just a good thing to remind beginners of, because they get in there, you do enough tech support and people or enough training, especially, and people are like, how come this didn't work? Oh, how come this failed? How come, it always falls apart? And it's like, let's give them a good lesson they can remember, get it jammed into their brain so that anytime they're drawing in SolidWorks, they're like, oh, it has to be fully defined.
No, maybe that's where we differ, because me and Kirby are both self-taught, so no one told us you need to define everything.
At some point I was told,
draw my square. Let's extrude.
Like it's because I've always, like you said, it's predictable, and because I've made that model from point A to point B, I know that even though if I haven't defined everything, if I'm going to edit one thing, I know kind of where the problems are going to occur, and I can fix it myself. But if I have to take someone else's model and edit it, like I remember just getting like pins and needles and just freaking out whenever I went into university and helped some people out in CAD when they were doing their models, and just like all of them there was just red and yellow everywhere, and they were still making their model. And I was like, "What are you doing?"
Right. Yeah, and I mean, you also made a good point there too, which is that when you're working with a team of people, the roles are different too. Like when I worked with the reseller, a part of my job would be that I would go out to companies and do like a CAD audit kind of, where I would interview different members of the team and try to figure out like maybe there's some advice we could give them, maybe use that information to help steer them in the right direction, essentially. Yeah. And it's as you would predict, there's some companies on one end of the spectrum where everybody is doing things completely different. There's no consensus as to what is the best way to do things, and so user A will open files from user B. And I remember it was funny, one company that I went to, user B, user C, user D, user E, user F, they all hated user A. They were like, every time we get a file from user A, we can't figure it out. We have to start all over. And then I interviewed with user A, and he was the only one who was actually using best practices. Like he would model a fourth of the model and then mirror it twice. He would use patterns, and the other downstream people would be like, I just want to move this hole, but I can't figure out where it's derived from. And it's because user A was like mirroring it and then mirroring it, but that's the right way to do it because that's going to make it more predictable downstream. So I guess the point is that, on one end of the spectrum, you have a company like that. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have a company that does weekly internal user group meetings, and part of that meeting is, let's talk about let's have somebody bring in one of their models and open it up and roll through the tree and show how they build it. Let's talk about what we agree with, what we don't agree with. Let's come to a consensus organically, week after week, because it's going to change. Best practices are going to change over time, but let's all make sure that we're on the same page and we're modeling things the same way and we understand what each other's thinking. And of course, that company is going to have much more success passing those files back and forth. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the way that I learned a lot of like, make this block, do this, and you kind of figure it out. But that was kind of easy to use basic tutorials to figure out. But then what I'll do is I'll start watching YouTube videos of time lapses and watching how someone makes a model and use that, instead of being told, you got to do this to do that, to do this, to do that, I just watched the overall workflow to see how they got to there.
Sure.
And kind of replicated that in my own model. I found that was for me, a quicker way of learning.
That's interesting. So then when you watch those, are those sped up themselves, or do you watch them at a faster speed?
No, they're sped up. It's just seeing how they ended up with their final result and kind of what path they took. Whereas, like, for example, you showing people, this is a quick way to make this. I'm not too concerned about those little things. I focus on how do I get the end result I want? Yeah, how do I get an end result of this? And this is basically just a bunch of revolves. And if I thought
it's interesting,
I could have created this with planes and different extrudes, but then if I'd seen someone using a bunch of revolves, I just use revolves.
Right? Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because I like last weekend I did a live stream where I went through and showed how to model a skateboard. And I just did the deck of the skateboard because I always see skateboard models on different CAD channels, CAD forums, and like file sharing websites, but they're never really made right. They're always like kind of janky, like especially the deck. When you bend the wood in two directions, the wood wrinkles a little bit where the wheel wells are, and nobody ever seems to capture that. And then like it's also a 7-ply maple usually. And nobody ever seems to really capture that either. So like I just went through and I created the skateboard, and as I'm going through it, I'm doing it kind of like lesson style where I'm explaining what I'm doing. But as I was doing it, I was thinking to myself, like, this would have been a lot more fun for me if I was just plowing through the design. If I wasn't explaining what I was doing, if I wasn't going back and turning these things into little lessons. And so maybe there's room for that in my menu as well in the future. Where I could have some series where I'm just plowing through and just modeling and not talking, or maybe just saying one thing here or there, but just kind of like, you guys want to see this stuff in real time? Let's just go for it.
I mean, for me, it's finding that where do I start? That's the hardest part in a model is where do you begin? And once for example, I'm busy making a helmet at the moment, so I don't know where to begin. I've never made a helmet. So I watched a couple of videos of people time-lapsing the model of their helmets, and from there I pinpointed some techniques that they use, which I then applied to my model and kind of figured out how to do my model by watching 3 or 4 different people modeling a helmet.
Yeah, I modeled a helmet once too. It's not easy.
So many surfaces.
Yeah, I did one. I did one once with a company, and I modeled it, and I was so happy about it. I was like, "You guys are gonna love this, right?" And I showed it to them, and they were like, "Well, it's uniform wall thickness," and I was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be injection molded, right?" And they were like, "Well, our design, the wall thickness actually changes." And so I ended up having to like create the whole external, but then have to create like a loft cut for the internal that was off. And then they were like, "Oh, and we're gonna have 3 different sizes, and we want you to help us like understand how to change it." I was like, "Oh, so now the internal has to also be parametrically related to the external, so you can change the size, and the internal moves with it." Okay, let's go, let's do it. We'll make it happen. Yeah, good times.
But you've back to kind of like your challenges and that you had a tournament earlier in the year, and I see you've got another one coming up on the 14th of December.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Are you guys going to be able to watch? It's going to be late for you.
Yeah, that's the tricky part, is that for us, it's kind of, maybe you should have like a European division.
I think I'm gonna. I had a couple of people on Reddit say that too. They were like, "If you had a European division, I would totally be into this." They're like, "But we're not going to stay up until 3 a.m. Do you take a lot? Do you take a lot of tips and ideas off Reddit and that? I mean, I'm always looking to help people.
Comments and that.
Yeah, I always like to help people. I like to figure out what people are running into. I look at them like challenges. Some of them are kind of layups. People be like, "How would you model this?" And I look at it, I'm like, "Really? It's pretty straightforward." But they don't know, and so if they don't know, probably a lot of other people don't really know how to approach it. So a lot of times, like even if it is a layup, I'll still take the time to go through, and I'll make a quick tech tip video out of it, or sometimes I'll just answer the questions or whatever. So I was posting on there. The Solidworks one, the r/Solidworks has been awesome. The r/CAD one banned me. Outright. Like I'm totally banned from r/CAD now. And the reason why is because I was posting on there saying like, "Hey, I've got these tips and tricks in an open like format for any CAD user. Come on over. Like I would love to have you guys in there from other CAD systems. It'll be fun. Like we'll see, who can model this stuff the fastest regardless of CAD system." And I guess the r/CAD admins were like, "You're self-promoting. We don't like that. You're out. You're just gone." So
it's got to be tricky.
It's a bummer, because I like answering questions in there too and seeing what they're doing in there. But this Solidworks one has been awesome. So
when I was posting a lot of prop stuff, when I was posting a lot of prop stuff and kind of getting my feet, I was trying to do that on 3D printing Reddit and trying to kind of self-promote myself at the same time, not self-promote myself. So I'd always do it like, "Hey, check what I found on so-and-so." And I post a picture. Meanwhile, it's me. It's like, it's me.
Yeah, it goes to Cal.
That's Kirby's tips and tricks.
It seems like he's really got some good tips and tricks. You should check out Too Tall Toby.
Yeah, I got banned real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, whatever. It is what it is. I would like my vision of that thing, like, what I do, and I don't know if we said it yet in this interview, but like what I do every week is when I have those contests I mentioned earlier, I post a drawing for everybody, and I say, "You can model this with any CAD system. You can model it. It doesn't matter to me what you're using. If you have a CAD,
you're open.
It's totally open. If you have a CAD system that you can input density for the material density, and then you can generate a 3D model, and you can output mass, you're in. Like that's all you need. Yeah. Anybody who's got that. So
yeah, no, you've got people that watch you that use Fusion and compete and are competitive.
Yeah,
on top there with SolidWorks users.
Yeah.
Yep.
Regular winner, isn't it?
It's so awesome. Like it's like that's what I want. Like I would love for it to get, to the point where everybody in the tournament is using like a different CAD system or something like that.
Yeah.
Like the last tournament we did was in June. It was I think June 29th. And we had people from I think 5 different countries, and everybody was in SolidWorks except for Fusion. The one guy from Fusion was in the tournament as well. It was just like a lot of fun. You get people from all over the world. And now in the tournament, it's different from what we do on Monday night, because on Monday nights, I put up the print and I let the chat have an opportunity to try to figure out what that mass is. But in the tournament, what I do is I have each participant share their screen, and then we can actually see both of them competing head to head. So they get a chance to look at the drawing, and then we're able to see like, where is this person going to start? Where is the origin for this person? Like what you mentioned earlier, how do you actually get started? And it's so interesting how different, because just like what you said with the lightsaber, one competitor might start with extrusions, the other competitor might start with revolves. One person might put the origin here, one person might put the origin here, one person might use like a layout of the whole thing to get started, one person might do it feature by feature. And it's just it's so interesting to see how differently people come up with these solutions.
I mean, I think that's a good point to see how Jonny and I will fare, because Toby, you've set a challenge for us.
I have. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I think it might be a good opportunity to let the people who are watching know kind of what we're talking about, almost a preview of what the tournament's going to be like. So what do you guys think? Kirby, Jonny, you guys think you're up for a little challenge?
I'm down for it. Anybody that's watching, if you've got a CAD software where you can import your the density, and you can find the weight of your object, you can compete too. You can put in your results in the comments.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get everybody in here. All right. Well, I put together this model just for you guys. So I'm going to bring this up on the screen. Okay. And basically as soon as I get it up on the screen, you guys can start going for it. Okay. Or do you want to do like how do you want to do it?
Yeah, we could just go for it. Fastest finger first.
All right.
I'm going to take a picture of the thing.
You gotta take a picture of it. All right. And then Jonny, I don't know if you're gonna screen capture it. A lot of times what people do when they're watching the Monday night streams, they'll screen capture it and maybe put it on a second monitor so that they can design it too. But let's see if anybody out there in the audience is faster than you guys. All right, here we go.
Probably all of them.
All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go for it. I'll turn off my webcam here so you guys can see the whole print.
Toby, you've not been kind.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
So there you go, guys. So it's gonna be up to you to figure out how to do this thing. You have to figure out, where's the origin gonna be, where's the what's the first feature gonna look like, right? These are all the things that we have to kind of think through when we get presented with a challenge from somebody. It might come in the form of a drawing, might come in the form of a napkin sketch.
Napkins, yeah, I've had those, and they're usually the best. It's better than someone being like, "Yeah, I've got this idea. Can you do it?"
Yeah,
and it's like, "Cool. What is that idea?" It's like, "I don't know."
Yeah, this guy, little hint here. This guy, whoever drew this thing up, they gave us the bend radius on the arm of the crank as the outside radius, which is like nobody would ever do that. You either get the center line or you get the inside bend radius. Why did this person do this? I don't know.
Thanks, Toby.
Because they're nuts. Yeah, whoever this person is, they're nuts.
And I guess you get people in your tournament that will do this in like minutes.
I mean, I think you guys could probably do this in just a couple of minutes, right? Let's see. Let's see what all this self-taughtness yields here in our little.
Definitely not challenge. Speed.
Yeah. I'm gonna flip back to. I'm going to turn my webcam back on here. I'll leave the print up, but if you want to switch it back to the three-person view, I'll get a better view of what you guys are doing.
You might not want one.
Let's see. I'll see if I can move my camera so I'm not covering up any of the dimensions, just in case anybody needs to see them. Looks like... All right, I think you guys are both starting out pretty good. Looks like Jonny's starting out with this probably this main shape here. Kirby, are you able to? Can you change it back to the the tri view where all three of us are the same size?
Yeah, sure. There we go.
Yeah, perfect. All right, cool. So we got Jonny in the upper right here, Kirby in the upper left. Looks like Kirby's using dark mode. But looks like both you guys have. You guys both have sketch contours on.
What's that?
It's just a setting in sketch mode.
Toby speaks to us like we actually know what we're doing.
I've
made a career out of basically fraud.
I can completely
fake it till you make it.
I can completely tell what Johnny's going for there. It looks like he's trying to get everything set up proper there in the front view. And Kirby looks like he's trying to draw this thing in the isometric view, which I don't know if that's a good strategy.
No.
Oh, shots fired. So I don't know if it's
like
right.
a terrible idea.
All right, so this is pretty good here.
Okay, that's what that's for. See, I don't look at engineering drawings that often.
Yeah. The excuses are coming out. You hear
Toby? I am I'm horrible at this kind of stuff. So, I think you might have a horizontal relationship on that quadrant point of the arc at the bottom there, Kirby.
I'll fix it.
I think that's what's messing you up there.
See, you're going to see nothing elegant here.
No, this is interesting. No, it's interesting. You guys actually both started out more similarly than I thought. At first, I thought something different was happening.
Don't say that, Toby. It means I've done something wrong.
No. You guys both ended up creating that very large radius using the circle command.
It's the only way I know how to.
It's a little exotic, but hey, I mean, let's go.
Don't you feel like he's like slow? We've gone child friendly, so I have to not swear. But don't you feel like he's judging you?
A little bit, but I guess that's the point of the challenge. That doesn't seem right. Something's wrong.
I keep thinking that, but I'm not sure where I'm going from.
Yeah,
that looks
Kirby.
better.
All right, so
that
Kirby
looks
looks
better.
like he's pretty much ready with that first profile. Johnny's still trying to figure out what's going on with this top arc here. It looks like.
Yeah.
Here's a fun trick I learned from Rhino. If you drag over left, you select only what's there.
If you drag right, it selects all.
Yeah.
Yep, that's called a crossing versus a window.
Wow.
Toby's got the full on bros are out.
Yeah. A few years of training helped out on those fronts.
How do all those blue lines look for you?
They're making me a little bit cringy, I guess is the word.
The thing is, I don't know how to fix that.
Well, you're doing great. I just realized I don't know what the correct answer is to this one. I got to look it up real quick. So I'm gonna bring up something else in my foreground here. I won't put it on the main screen, obviously.
I figured it out. Look at that.
Yeah, I mean
that
the
doesn't
trick
matter because that's construction.
Yeah, the trick from the song, if you want to remember, is you grab a blue point, you move it around.
That's actually a very good way to figure out where your problem is.
Yep, and then you just have to use a little bit of engineering intuition. If this thing moves, then maybe it means this. All right.
Dude, I actually don't know what I'm doing for once. And it's not my usual. I started drinking too early.
Maybe that can be a bracket too. We'll have the European bracket, and then we'll have the,
smashed off
the European bracket. That's just the European bracket, though.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm just double checking my math here on something. So, you guys keep going. You're doing great.
Okay, you're going to cry here because I'm going to make this manually, and I don't think it's right.
You guys are doing so good with this challenge. I got to tell you.
I'm feeling the momentum now.
Yeah,
I'm feeling very warm.
Johnny's catching up. Don't worry.
I can see where my mistakes are.
It might help if you add some dimensions to your sketch.
Who's he talking to?
I mean, whatever. I don't want to tip my hat to anybody or tip my hand to anybody, as they say.
We don't do dimensions.
Okay. All right. That's fine. That's fine.
This is all guesstimation.
Anyway.
Yeah, this is looking good.
Is guesstimation.
Okay, I'm going to find something that I don't remember where it is.
All right. Here we go.
Someone just got a text. I don't know who it was.
That was me.
So I think one thing to note there, Johnny, is that in the in the print, the center point of that arc that you've got up top isn't necessarily horizontal to the quadrant points. Like you got that arc, you got an arc up top which should have a radius of 60 on it.
Yep.
But your quadrant points there, it looks almost like you're trying to make them exactly horizontal. You know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're not. Maybe they are up a little bit from the center line. They definitely should be up from the center line a little bit.
He's telling me all these things, and it means nothing to me so far.
Okay, no problem. The other thing is with that dimension that you've got there for your total height. Yeah. If you hold shift when you make that dimension, you can bump that dimension out to go up to that the center the max tangency point of that upper arc.
I'm feeling good about this.
That functionality there that you're running into, Johnny, that's called Instant 2D. So up in your sketch toolbar, uncheck that option for Instant 2D. Yeah, and now you won't have that problem with the dimension value becoming editable right away. So if you click on that dimension again that you had just clicked on before, now you can just press delete and it'll go away.
Dude, it's like a free lesson.
Dude, Instant 2D is not
what, Instant 2D?
Feature. So, and then for that one, yeah, after you dimension that, you can either hold shift, or if you click on that dimension now and you look over in the properties over on the left, click on the tab for leaders, the second tab up at the top, and then you can set that to max for the arc location, arc end condition. So at the very bottom there, click max. There you go.
Dude,
and that should be 160.
Free lessons.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back slowly.
There you go, yeah.
Will Johnny take the lead? Will he bring it back?
Probably not, dude. I'm not going to lie to you. I am sweating buckets.
It is funny how intense it gets. Like I've talked to some of the people who competed, you know, and they say that on the Monday night live stream, like it's intense, even though they're just alone and they're just like trying to come up with the answer because they know that other people are trying to come up with it and type it into the chat. But then during the tournament, when they were broadcasting their screen, they were like, I can't believe how stressed I was. I can't believe how tense it was. You know, everybody's watching.
I'm pretty tense.
Yeah.
I'm not too bothered if Kirby beats me. I'm not going to lie.
I probably will.
You're doing great. You could, that location that you're at now, what you could do there is you could just do a 3-point arc instead of trying to do the circle. I think trying to do it as a circle might be messing you up a little bit there. Because you keep like trying, you keep trying to drop the circle on that horizontal line from the origin, but I don't think it's necessarily there. It's not, not really called out as being there, the origin. Yeah, and then that one, you want to make sure you give that one a nice radius of 200.
We are. We're going to come back at you, Kirby.
Are you really?
Probably not.
Oh, yeah. That's looking good.
Oh, God. Wait, why does that have a
Kirby is just... I had focused there on Johnny for a little bit, and I looked back over at Kirby, and he's already got that path set up for the sweep. Man, that's...
He's just taking impressive. The lead.
Yeah, he might be jumping into the lead here a little bit.
He probably is.
It's hard for me to tell because of the dark mode.
Yeah,
that's my tactic.
He loves to keep stuff hidden.
So I guess the point of this part here is I thought this would make for a good prop. You know, you guys could have this in the background against the wall of a ship. Could be like it opens up a door, cargo bay door or something.
Okay, I'm gonna go blind here, but this is to help you out.
Oh man, you don't do that on my bro. Stay in the zone.
Do it on his account.
I've got the time.
Oh wow!
Oh dude!
Dang, shots fired.
Let him fire.
I think one of the best features in Solidworks is being able to do math.
Yes, agree. And you have instant 2D on also, Kirby. So
I do.
Up at the top of the screen there, uncheck that. Now go go back to that dimension you had just modified over. Yeah, now double click there just double click on that dimension, and then right there you can just start typing, like in the case of that dimension. Yeah.
I've always wondered why that pops up like when it feels like it.
It's that instant 2D. When instant 2D is on, you single click on a dimension and it becomes editable, but it's it kind of takes away some of the other options that are in there in SolidWorks, like the option that box is called the modify spin box, and I think you definitely want that to be available.
Okay, so I think I am good to do this. Screw it, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. You just gotta go for it sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's looking good. So Kirby's pulling out ahead a little bit here, but I'm not, nobody's counting Jonny out yet.
I would.
He's just getting his bearings here for this arc.
Just something doesn't look right.
It's not you this time, is it?
This is in millimeters, right?
Yep, this is millimeters.
No, inches.
Hey, Sauce Pop on my feed. You guys doing great.
Oh yeah,
Toby doesn't help us on Monday night.
Oh yeah,
we're not on the level of Toby's people.
Competitors.
What's up, Ivan? Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, we're learning at the same time.
I literally feel like it's a school day.
Feels like an exam.
Yeah, this is intense. I mean, and like I said, I've talked to some of the guys who do this on Monday nights, and they're like, I wanted to get some practice in, but I can't believe how much how stressful it was. I can't believe how intense it was. And it's just kind of knowing that there's other people out there in the chat who are going for it. I guess something that I'll mention while you guys are working through this is that on my channel. So this is the channel here. It's called Too Tall Toby. On this channel. There's a sketch song. Remember we were talking about the sketch song earlier, so that's there. There's a couple of little sections here that I put together. Basically, these are just playlists, and one of them is called Model Monday Replay, where you can go and you can practice these models. I got a bunch of these models up here. There's probably 30 or 40 models up here from past weeks, challenges. And if you want to go through and just practice some models, similar to the ones that Jonny and Kirby are doing now, when you click into these videos, what you'll see is that the 2D print shows up, and then there's a little timer on the 2D print. So you don't even have to run a stopwatch or anything. You can actually see how long it's taking you. So you just go to the beginning of that, and then you'll see the timer will start, and then you can kind of challenge yourself to go through some similar models. Not exactly the same one. I built this one special for you guys, so not exactly the same one, but kind of similar. Maybe I'll put this one up there as a Model Monday replay, so we can challenge the audience to this one too.
But they'll have the answer already. So I've put in all the dimensions in there, and it's not showing up right.
Let's see. Make your wait. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger here. There we go. All right. So yeah, I think it's at 95. It's that damn the person who made the print made that 95. That should be either set. That should probably be your center line dimension, right? So if you double click there.
Oh, okay. I've got to do math now. I see it now.
But you don't have to do the math. You can let SolidWorks do it. So if you double click on that dimension, you should be able just to click at the end and then just do -15.
It does the math for me. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, he's in
That's the power of the modify spin box. And Jonny, on your setup, if you don't mind, can you click the line command just to begin the line command? And then just out in space, do a single click, and then move directly horizontal after you single click. So just begin the line, do one single click, move horizontal, single click again, move away from that endpoint, and then move your mouse without clicking anything. Move your mouse back over that endpoint, and then move to the right and down. and you'll see that auto triggered a tangent arc command. So now if you click there, and then after you single click move away again, you'll be back in the line command. And you can do it right from there too, like begin the line command and single click on that endpoint. So it looks like maybe you hit escape or something to get out of it. Now move back to that endpoint and then come off of it again, and it'll switch you into a tangent arc. So the only trick there is you have to be kind of conscious of how you move away from that point. So if you ever like get incorrect tangency, you can just kind of go back. But yeah, just if you begin the line and then you are at an endpoint and you move away from the endpoint, and then come back to the endpoint and then move away again, it'll auto start a tangent arc for you.
Oh, dude, I'm sweating. And not in a good way.
Okay, I'm going to do material properties.
All right, so now Kirby's at the last part of this challenge, which is making sure he has the right materials. So the material in this one is down in the lower right corner, along with the density. So as you're assigning the material, just make sure it's got the right density. No tricks here. I mean, this is the default SolidWorks ones. Then after you do that, after you assign the material, you can there's a couple of ways you can do it, but the most common way is you can go to evaluate, and then you can go to mass properties.
That's where it is.
Yep, that's usually where you can go to find it.
It's been a very long time.
So what'd you get as your answer? I can't see it because it's a little too small.
I've got to assign the material first, the density.
So the density comes across from the material. If you already assigned the material, did you assign it from the library? It's 1060 alloy.
Yeah, so if you go over material, it'll already be there.
You go to your SolidWorks tree. That area on the right is actually just the appearance, but in the SolidWorks tree, right mouse button, yep, and then you can go to edit material and then go down to your aluminums, and then it's 1060 alloy. So usually for the tournament or for the live streams, I suggest people have these ready to go, like in their templates or in their favorites. But is the density for that material, is it 2700?
I think it is. Find it again.
Yeah. And what was your answer?
What I'm looking for, mass.
Yep.
2408.55.
2408.55. So that is definitely close enough to be within tolerance. Nicely done. We're going to give this one to Kirby. So very nicely done, Kirby. Well done. Congratulations and GG. Very nice job, Jonny, as well. You guys.
I think Jonny just rage quit.
Wow. Well, very nicely done to both you guys.
I'm sure he'll join back in now.
Yeah, you guys definitely got through it and did a real nice job of getting through it. And that's kind of the gist of what we do on Monday nights.
There, he's back.
You
just rage quit.
It wasn't a rage quit as much as it looked that way.
That's what we thought.
Yeah, for me, it was figuring out that the angle where this comes through.
Yeah, that was a weird, a lot of times with these drawings, I have to take some liberties with how I make the print. There's going to be some limits as to how much I can put on one single print. Like that's been kind of the most interesting thing about this. I'm clearly not a drawings guy. I don't know like a bunch of different drawing standards or anything like that. But yeah, I did make another challenge for you guys. I don't think we're gonna have time to do it today, but I at least want you guys to see it.
I mean, we could have a look at it.
I'll do one, Kirby.
So you guys might like this one.
I've got a carbon crystal right here.
Oh, you got one? Oh, there you go. Yeah, you can just model it off of that. Maybe I'll send you guys this as a PDF and let you guys have at it.
Yeah, we can maybe look at that next week or the week after even.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, next week we can do a bunch of challenges.
Well, very nicely done. Very, very nicely done. Thank you guys for taking the Too Tall Toby challenge this week. This is kind of the gist of what we do, like I said, on Monday nights. And then, as you mentioned, on December 14th, we're going to be doing this live with all the contestants. We've got 8 people qualified for the tournament. We're going to do a bracket-style tournament. It's a Monday night, and it's going to be true, head-to-head, CAD versus CAD competition. So I'm pumped about it. This is the kind of stuff.
Sounds awesome.
I love seeing this kind of stuff. So.
No, I can see where I made my mistake. I can see where I did it. I didn't put a fillet in.
I was going to ask, I was going to ask if you missed a fillet there.
That was the one thing I knew I had to add was an R10 fillet, Kirby. Come on.
Yeah, Jonny got it. Jonny had it like right before he.
If I can figure out this sweep, I know I need to put the R10 fillet in because that will get everyone.
Yeah, that sweep caught me off, and that the R95 not being on the center line also threw me off.
I mean, one thing that you should definitely know, Kirby and Jonny, both you guys should definitely know about, just if you're making a lot of props and you're potentially doing a lot of this type of sweep activity, is in the newer builds of SolidWorks, you can and I say newer builds, I think this was like circa 2017, you can create a solid sweep just from the path. So you don't need the profile anymore.
No,
yeah. If we had something like what we had there, and it's got a uniform diameter, after you create that path sketch, you can just go up here to sweep. You can pick that path sketch, and then you can choose
the diameter.
Exactly. Yeah, you can choose.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that functionality.
Right. You can go here to circular profile, and then you can just punch in your diameter. So especially for like sketches, it's just so much faster.
Yep. Rather than making a whole new sketch to sweep.
Yeah. Not always applicable, but definitely like if you're doing a lot of 3D printing stuff, that's a good one to save some time.
I mean, do you think it's important for people to actually challenge themselves and compete and stuff like your little challenges and Model Mania and that stuff?
I think that I hope I haven't started doing it yet, but I'm going to be doing a lot of these Model Monday solved where I go through and I solve them in real time. And my hope is that what comes out of that is there is a balance between following best practices, or maybe I should say there is a correlation between following best practices and ending up with a good model quickly. I think a lot of times people in the comments, the biggest backlash that I get is this is just teaching people bad habits. What are you doing? You're just going through and you're making people model stuff fast, but you're not actually enforcing any good habits. So hopefully what comes out of it when I go through and I start doing them, if I can start putting in like sub 5-minute times, I think generally speaking, if you can finish these models in under 5 minutes, you're going pretty fast. You're cooking. So if I can put in sub 5-minute times, and everything is still fully defined, and I'm doing it following best practices, and I'm doing it, following the different tips and tricks that I've shared. Like even just now, me showing that thing to Jonny about how you can come across with a line and then come back and touch the endpoint and come off with a tangent C-arc. If you take that and you combine it with the auto dimensioning functionality that's in SolidWorks in sketch mode, you could have that sketch of the path kind of all in one pass, fully defined, parametric, predictable, all the things that we strive for when we're making a strong model, but you can also do it pretty quickly. And so I think that's the key. If you're just blasting through these things and just trying to make it as fast as possible, you're not fully defining the sketches, it doesn't really, you are teaching yourself bad habits. But it's still good. Like you guys, I'm sure, have been in these spots where if you don't get the part out today, if you don't get the model out today, the other team is leaving, they're going on vacation, they're going home for the weekend, and that's going to push the whole project back another week. And that means that we're not going to be able to get it to market in time for the upcoming trade show. These are real world scenarios. Being able to get these models done quickly, get them out the door, can have an effect on profit. So I think it's good for those reasons.
What you were showing us there kind of as we're going, I mean, Ivan was saying, it's like you don't give them any help on Mondays. But like you're obviously seeing some flaws in our setups, and we're just pinpointing, if you do that, get rid of that, it'll make it quite much easier to edit your dimensions. I mean, I didn't know that instant 2D thing will now that that's off, I can start editing my sketches a lot quicker, instead of having to like click it all the time until it eventually pops up.
That's one thing that when I'm at work working away, and like Toby says, like getting stuff out the door is always our thing. It like I can get given something on the morning that's like, can you have it done for 4 p.m.? So that instant 2D thing now is going to be like a joy that I don't have to click OK, literally get out my face.
Yeah, that's in the tips and tricks that I gave at World this year. So at 3D Experience World 2020, I did a tips and tricks, and I was going through it like a pretty good clip. I'm like, here's how this tool works. Explain. Here's how this tool works. Here's how I use this. Here's how I use this. And then I got to instant 2D, and I just was like, no, like that's it. Just no. Just don't use it. Just turn it off. And it was kind of had that, like total stop in the flow, and everybody's like, what? That's it? That's all he has to say? But that is how it is, because you get in there and you double click on it, or you single click on a dimension, then you press delete, and then it's like, please enter a value between 0 and blah, 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 blah.
It just annoys you.
Yeah. And so I get why it's there. Like, the reason that it's there is because Instant 3D, which is a mode where you can do that same thing in 3D, you can single click on a dimension, then change it and everything updates, has some good spots. There's some really good spots where you can use that. And the reason they implemented Instant 2D is because users wanted to have the same interface in both spots. But where there was a mistake, in my opinion, is they made that the default setting. They made it on by default. And so now you've got users who have been running the software for 10, 15 years, and you're changing their default environment, and there's not really a clear explanation as to why it changed. And then, like, there's other nuances too. Like, if you migrate your registry settings in from an older version of SolidWorks, that icon sometimes won't even be there on your sketch toolbar. So then you even further don't know that it's on or that it's off. Like, there's all these other little nuances as to why that can be problematic. But it actually is one of the tech tips, I think, too, that I have on the power moves. I think it's one of those. If not, I'll have to make it into one.
Yeah.
When I get to work, it's getting turned off.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, like, I get what you mean by you teaching yourself bad habits, but I think to start off, you're teaching yourself how to be a lot more efficient. And you can tell your boss it's going to take 4 hours, but you can do an hour and then relax.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Ivan, who's in the chat, like, he there's an exploit in the competition. I actually call it the Ivan exploit in honor of him. So the exploit is, if there's a plate with uniform thickness that has a hole in it, it doesn't matter where you put that hole. So if I put dimensions, right? So if I put dimensions to locate that hole, and you're spending an extra minute to put those dimensions in,
so Ivan just whacked it anyway.
So Ivan recognized, like, you could just drop in one, copy it 4 places. You don't have to locate 4 individual holes because it's uniform plate thickness. So now a lot of times my models.
So it's like with this hole, I could have put it anywhere.
You could have just dropped it anywhere. Yeah. Because it's uniform wall thickness. So now a lot of times with my models, I will have draft on the models so that it does matter. So I won't make it uniform on the back, like, to kind of combat that a little bit. Because it does, getting to that point of, like, teaching bad habits. If it's, it needs to be, you should have it done fast, but it needs to be right. If it's not right, people are going to manufacture it wrong, and it's going to cost your company a lot of money. Yeah. So, like, I think it's, you gotta take it for what it is, and hopefully it is teaching people some good habits, and it's just practice. It's like playing a scale on guitar. You don't start out right away like ripping through the whole scale. You start out like da, 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 like and then little by little, every day, a little more. So hopefully people just keep practicing the good habits, and then it gets to be going faster and faster and faster.
That's really cool. Like the tournament idea that you have, you're getting people to kind of try new things, test new things. How can I be quicker? How can I, like I've said, we both learned something. So I think there is, it's an interesting and it's a fun way to use the software. Like I said, it's the competitive use of SolidWorks.
I think one of the funniest things for me, and I even got to do it today with you guys, thanks a lot, is just kind of being able to see different people's setup, seeing how they have things set up and how they go through workflows. Like, and again, shout out to Ivan, the June 29th tournament, Ivan was in that tournament, and his setup, he doesn't have any toolbars. Like, not that he doesn't have a command manager. Wow. He doesn't have any toolbars. He just has the feature tree and the main user interface, and that's it.
Yep.
And he's got everything hotkeyed and S-keyed, and he can just tear through the software like that, like so fast. You wouldn't believe how fast he is. And so it's so interesting to see all these different people with the same piece of software, but kind of set up totally different.
Using it differently as well, obviously, yeah.
And you can see that recording, the June 29th recording is up there. If anybody out there wants to see what Ivan's setup looks like, you can go back and check out that June 29 recording and see it. It's like so cool.
Yeah, it's mad. I mean, I know the resellers at World get very competitive, especially in their own companies, when it comes to Model Mania and that. So it's a bit of it's team building. And like you said, and that's quite an interesting kind of thing of every week having a kind of a mini user group meeting. Mm-hmm. kind of discussing how people are making their models and how they can improve other people's model making skills and that.
Yeah, I just think it's so good when companies do that, and you can still do it now, of course. You could do it online. You could have an online users group. I think that the best format, is just to have one person presenting, and they go through their feature tray and they're like, here's how I built this thing start to finish. The part that we use at the office, you're inevitably going to build something similar to this. So here's how I went through it. What do you guys think? Is there a better way that I could have done any of this? And if you just have those meetings with your team, you can learn so much, and you can come to these understandings of what to expect and what the best way is to do things.
Yeah.
I mean, some companies will go as far as to like create a playbook. So when they get a new employee, they're like, here's how we do things here. It's like, it's not necessarily micromanaging, but it's more like we all come to these inflection points where we have to decide, am I going to use a mirror here? Am I going to mirror at the sketch level? Am I going to put the fillets in the sketch level or put them in at the feature level? So if you provide a new employee with like just kind of a basic guide for some of those common inflection points, that can go a really long way too, to ensuring that everybody's on the same page.
No, I see that at work. There's two of us that are basically doing design and engineering. So if I do something one way and my coworker or whatever does it the other way, it's a nightmare when I have to edit anything or he has to edit something I've done. So totally makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I know GrabCAD is also a good resource for that. If there's a cool model you see on there, you can download the Solidworks model. You can then go through the feature tree and see how they made that.
Sure.
That's also an interesting way to learn how people model things. I think that's a nice place to kind of round this all off tonight.
Cool.
Cool,
man.
We've done well. One last thing.
I'll say one last because you mentioned it. You mentioned Model Mania, and so Model Mania is something that happens at the World Conference every year, at the SolidWorks World and now 3D Experience World every year, and it is happening this year officially.
It's free.
Not only the conference is happening, but Model Mania is officially happening.
Yes, it's coming back.
It's been announced. So keep your eyes peeled if anybody out there wants to compete against, people from all around the world at the SolidWorks competition, the official kind of like the OG, the sanctioned SolidWorks modeling competition. That's definitely a great opportunity is to check out 3D Experience World for free, learn all kinds of great SolidWorks tips and tricks, and then also have the chance to compete in that thing.
Yeah, like Toby said, it's free to attend this year. Like a lot of, especially in my user group and that, I've been telling them a lot, go and check it out because a lot of people from Europe have always wanted to go, but they can't foot the cost of the conference, flights, accommodation. But now it's all for free.
Yeah, and I mean, like you mentioned, you're looking for ways that you can learn from other people. Just being able to see people present up on screen, being able to see how other people go through their models. Like I've learned so much from 3D Experience, SolidWorks World, 3D Experience World. Just like one example is when you do an extrusion command, you can right mouse button and then get to your end conditions. So after you begin the extrusion command, you can right mouse button and you can change it to like up to surface or up to vertex or through all. But like, so for cut extrude, that's really, really helpful with through all because you'll make your circle, you'll go cut extrude, and then you can right mouse button and jump right to through all. Well, that's something that I learned from watching like a simulation presentation at SolidWorks World. Like it wasn't a tips and tricks. Had nothing to do with cut extrude. I just was watching the person presenting and saw him do that. And I was like, I didn't know you could do that. That's so cool. Like there's so much you can gain through osmosis by watching other people present, especially when they're presenting live. And that's what I think makes this year so special. It's virtual, which means everybody can tune in and watch. It's free. Everybody can tune in and watch. And you have this opportunity to see so many presenters and pick up on so many of those tips and tricks. Yeah,
there's a lot you can learn from it. So, I mean, I think we can close it off by saying the 3D Experience World's kind of theme is the freedom to create. So I'm going to ask you, Toby, and anybody who's watching, I'd also like to know kind of what does the freedom to create mean to you? Which I think is quite important. What's yours, Jonny?
Mine gives me sort of a passionate outlet in a creative sense where I don't have to be doing engineering drawings all day.
Fair enough. How about you, Toby?
think mine is it's definitely coupled with 3D printing. Being able to see a need. And this is just at a personal level around the house. A cabinet that needs a latch. I remember I designed baby latches when my one roommate was a lot younger. I designed my own custom cabinet latches that the baby couldn't open. Designing various things to hold, to cover, to just to kind of help me to repair things. The trampoline out back when the top brackets broke, able to get in there and see why they broke and make a better version of them and then 3D print them. I mean, that's to me the freedom to create, is just seeing a need, being able to measure out what the current solution is, being able to draw up a better solution in SolidWorks, and then being able to 3D print it out. I think that's really what it is to me, the freedom to create.
Very, very well said. Very well. For me, it's kind of the freedom to create is to be able to bring what I'm passionate about to life. So a lot of it's video gaming, to be able to bring a lot of those props from video games to life so that people can hold them and get excited about it. Like when I did a lot of prop making, I took those props to Comic-Con. Our stand was a very hands-on stand. A lot of stands at Comic-Con will be like, you don't touch these. Ours were there on display. People can touch them, pick them up, hold them, and just seeing people's excitement because they could do this. And then a lot of the questions were like, where can I buy this? And my answer was like, you can actually make this yourself. And I've always promoted that kind of mentality of, you can create anything yourself if you find the right tools and put your mind to it. And a lot of these tools are so easily accessible.
That's cool.
Like I've got 3D printers on my desk and I can make whatever I want, whenever I want.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like I'm sure we all could just go round and round and round and tell stories, but it's just what you said. Like anytime there's anything that you need, upstairs I have a 4-panel light switch where 3 of them are rockers and 1 of them is a regular switch, and so you can't find that type of cover, the appropriate type of cover. What do? Measure it up, 3D print it out, move on. It's just like anytime, and for me it is, like you mentioned video games, Kirby, and I have a lot of roommates, as I mentioned before to you, so I don't have as much time as I used to play video games, and so a lot of times like that becomes my video game, is like, okay, I'm going to draw up this light switch, but I only have this window of time to do it and get it onto the printer.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like go. So now I'm like speed running the video game, and then like SolidWorks is the video game to me, and so it's so fun, and so just like beating a level in a video game, it's when I get that thing onto the printer. And then I'm back upstairs on roommate duty, in time before he wakes up from his nap or whatever. My roommates take a lot of naps, so
just like me.
We do too, especially when we're in Nashville.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you've got that Voltron behind you that you were saying earlier that you want to recreate the hand. I mean,
right?
You could you could replicate the hand exactly as it should be, or you can even go ahead and make it anything you want.
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot of fun things that you can do with that.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that was fantastic.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for helping me get started on my journey, being I think my first guest, or at least one of my first guests on the show, and this has been really cool. I love what you guys are doing over here on the core.
Yeah, as Photo says, their man's reach exceeds his imagination, which is true.
I think isn't that more of like a warning than a inspirational quote?
Yeah, it's a warning, and then you spend an absolute ton of money on equipment. And you're like, I best do something on an evening, quick. make this worth it, quick.
Yeah, if you guys want to go check out Too Tall Toby, he's at Too Tall Toby on Twitter. I think you're only on Twitter, so I couldn't find you anywhere else.
I'm not like super social media guy, but YouTube is like the main. Hit me on YouTube. You can always hit me in any of the comments. I try to respond to most of the comments.
Yeah, I think I put your links in the comments before for you, YouTube. So hopefully a few of our followers pop over and follow you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. And then if you guys want to follow us, I'll get the banner up.
Toby, have you watched him get this wrong before?
I've not watched
the best thing ever. Episode what are we 14? Toby, he's got this right about twice so far.
Well, it looks good this time around.
If you want to follow me, I'm KJ Designs 365.
I'm at Castle Run Creations.
Nice.
Because our name is very original, and we couldn't really pick the same handle for every platform, so it's different. So on Instagram, we are at on Instagram we are at the core podcast.contact. On Facebook, we are at the core podcast, where the O is a 0. On Twitter, we are at the _core podcast, and on YouTube and Twitch, we are the core podcast. Nailed it.
There was a small slip on the Instagram one. If I was being
I got a bit worried there. I was like, and I stumbled.
Surely worried. You were like, oh no, maybe it's not the right one.
No, but it's been fun. Thank you very much for joining us today, Toby.
Yes, my pleasure. Thank you, guys.
A lot of wise words, and we've learned a lot. Hope people watching have learned something. And if you want to learn more, check out Too Tall Toby. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.